Fortnite and World War II. No relationship between them, but let's do this anyways. So this was a group project, and we had to go about the World War II news and all. And so that's what I'm doing. I did it with 3 other members, and this whole script is ours. We worked parts on it, and I will let you guys know who's who, or whose part was which part. So mine is first. Let's go. So Tony here, your local news reporter, to give you a highlight on the occurrence of World War II. So let's get right into the news, kids. Women. They played really important roles during World War II. It didn't matter if they were just stay-at-home wives or if they were part of the armed forces. Right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, America took strict action on a situation which had the woman take place as well. We were looked down on by Germany, specifically Hitler, because he believed that woman's place was just to stay at home and be good mothers and, stuff like that. But he didn't see the potential in women. He was one of those kind of guys. I'm not hating on Hitler, by the way. This is a project, okay? I'm just doing this for the project. As the war began, young women began marrying their man they loved before getting sent into the war. After that happened, women that stayed home participated in war-related organizations or volunteered, and they also worked in defense plants. Even after doing all that, they still managed to keep their household clean and organized, which is pretty cool. The women who served in uniform were part of many organizations, whether they were home or abroad. Alright, you ready for the list? This was like the whole volunteering stuff. If I get this wrong, oh well. The Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, WAACs, then renamed as Women's Army Corps. Then the others were the Navy Women's Reserve, WAVES, the Marine Corps Women's Reserve, the Coast Guard Women's Reserve, SPARS, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, WASPs, the Army Nurse Corps, and the Navy Nurse Corps. Those were the ones who were like out fighting and all. And then General Eisenhower, I don't know if I said that right, who was a general for obviously the US, said to himself that if women didn't take part in this war, then winning would have been impossible. What the women that were abroad did was work in offices and things such as clerical jobs. Other than that, they did other important tasks. They drove trucks, they repaired airplanes, and then tested them after. And even some served as radio operators. For some of the women that volunteered to be part of the Army Nurse Corps were killed by enemies, unfortunately, but that's how wars are. And over 1,600 were taken in as prisoners of war, or POW. That was my part, and so I have a small part as well for me. Let's go. Minorities. A lot of teens and children were drafted into the war, and by that I mean, because discrimination and segregation, and all that stuff. The United States wanted to get as many people as they could to put part into this war. There were white Americans, African Americans, Japanese, and Hispanics. There was even other, but I wasn't able to, find that. Even though there was still a high ratio of discrimination, if anyone had foreign ancestry and were American citizens, then they were allowed to enlist into the military. Alright, and so from here on out, there will be my partner's stuff, because the ones from before right now are mine. Alright, so this one's by... I don't know if I should give out the real name. Teammate 1. They know who they are. In our ongoing battle for victory, we have carried out different battles around the world. The first important one of our battles was the Battle of Midway. During the Battle of Midway, it took place on June... Boy. It says like 51,000. I'm skipping that. Where the United States Navy defeated a Japanese attack against Midway Atoll, marking a turning point in the war in the Pacific theater. The battle took place on the island of Midway, and Japan lost 4 carriers, 1 cruiser, and 292 aircrafts, and lost 2,500 troops. And the U.S. lost the Yorktown, or to Yorktown, I don't even know, the destroyer USS Hammond, 145 aircraft, and lost 307 troops. Normandy, that was one of the battles. And I'm going over 3 battles. Second one was Normandy was another very important battle, and this battle started June 6, 1944 on the beach of France, and it was nicknamed D-Day, and came to be one of the most intense battles More than 160,000 Allied troops stormed into the beach so they could overwhelm the German troops and breaking through the German lines. The battle lasted 24 hours and over 425,000 Allied and German troops were killed, wounded, or went missing during the battles of Normandy. Last battle, and the Battle of Bulge, was another battle that was also very important. On 16th of December, that was the very first day of the Battle of the Bulge, and it lasted for 4 weeks. This was also the last major offensive made by the Germans. This is the second deadliest battle in American history and during this war. Alright, that's it for Teammate 1, Teammate 2. Let's do this. This one's about concentration camps and the improvement or growth of technology. Alright, so thank you for joining us today on April 4th, 1945. And we have just received word from the US Army that they have liberated a Nazi camp. We know that it was liberated by the 4th Armored Division and the 89th Infantry Division. The camp is believed to have been used by the Nazis to hold prisoners of war and to conduct experiments on prisoners, but now it is no more. Your news reporter here, thank you for joining us. And I'm back again with more news after the war to inform you on some of the breakthroughs that happened because of the Second World War. Some of the examples would be the atomic bomb. That was a big advancement in technology because it forced Japan to surrender there. And there were 2 made and they were both dropped on Japan. There were many improvements in the army and there were different strategies that were used in the war. Now for the last teammate, it's how World War II turned the US into a global superpower. In other news, the war has moved the US into the status of global superpower due to the development of new technologies as well as honestly, I can't even pronounce that word. Reinvigorated economy. The United States of America is recognized around the world as a superpower. Weapons development, such as the atomic bombs dropped on Japan, have greatly contributed on this status, but the main source of this is the US economy. This year, American industry produced twice as much as its closest competitor, Britain, with income flooding in from their various weapons and munition sales around the world, and workers producing planes and boats for the war effort at outstanding rates. The US economy has never been better. This increased productivity has given the US influence around the world, particularly in Europe. This economy is heavily supported by international trade, so the US must look to forge and strengthen their relationships with their neighbors across sea. In order to remain competitive in the world market, the US must take control of a number of shipping lanes, so they must build new naval bases and coaling stations. This is a delicate situation, and we will see if the government manages to handle it with its relationships with foreign powers. Thank you guys.